One of the amazing things I have to say about John Dillinger, which shows you how deep he was into this life, was he had plastic surgery, of course, for those of you who don't know, and he burned off all his fingerprints. Paid a lot of money, you know, he'd done all kinds of stuff with the plastic surgery, but when he looked in the mirror, he said, hell, I don't look any different, that much different to what I did before. Hi guys, my name's Stephen Gillen, for those of you who don't know me. I had my own unfortunate journey into the darkness of organised crime, ending up with a 17-year sentence. I wish everyone a really happy holidays over this time with you and your family. Thanks again as always for enjoying the content and engaging on the channel. So much more coming for you now and over the holidays, and an amazing year 2023. Today I'm going to react to a film I've been waiting to react to, a real timeless classic. Today I'm going to react to Public Enemies. It's the right way to start this film, by the way, like this, right? Nicked, leveraged, and being mugged off every day, because this is where armed robbery gets you. But we're going to go right through the journey of it here. Brutal, see? Prison is brutal. Armed robbery is brutal too. Believe you me, if you get a big sentence for armed robbery in prison, the first thing you're going to be thinking about every day is escaping, just like I was. Another important thing in this era at this time, which was a real era of gangsterism, and I'll tell you why, guys, one of the main reasons was Prohibition. Prohibition, of course, was in the US from the 1920 to 1933 until the 18th Amendment, which approved the manufacture, transportation and sale of alcohol. John Dillinger, in many ways, everything I've known about John Dillinger, everything I've read about him, he was your typical armed robber. He really was. Everything about him really was. This is what he done. Of course, he robbed 24 banks and 4 police stations as well. People may not know.
Take a seat. Let's go, stop your dragon, let's go.
In them days as well, of course, prisons or universities of crime, especially for armed robbers who's coming up, like John Dillinger back in the day. When you see in these American prisons, they have the stripes, right? But look, tell you what, when I was in prison, high security prisons, in the UK, it's the same kind of thing. You have your workshops and all this kind of things, but Cat A's, we had the yellow and green kind of overalls. They prepared a well-planned escape here, you know, and of course this is the thing, you know, to get a firearm in and walk an officer to the gates, to get through the gates, to get through the security from inside the prison. This is always the most vulnerable way to escape out of maximum security prisons.
But a son of a bitch screw like you better address me as Mr. Dillinger. Open it! Open it! I'll blow you in half!
Not quite sure if this is 100% how this escape went down. They're going to try and keep, of course, to the historical parts as much as they can. But, you know, he was certainly an unbelievably clever escapologist, John Dillinger.
You did it, kid.
Sure did, Walter.
Again, and this is always the thing as well, is to get them like that and then change into the uniforms and all that, so, you know, you can get through the last level of security. See, and they've got the gun towers outside, of course, which is what you don't want. You don't want to be shooting it out with these guys on the top. I always think when I see these old cars, they was made for robbers, perfect getaway cars, you know, because you always had the bit you could jump on and, you know, as you're getting away, you could fire from and, you know, and get cover and all that. Of course, this was used to great effect in, you know, in these early years, 1920s, 1930s in the US. You know, and you had many of the real iconic, they weren't even really gangsters in them days. They was outlaws. Babyface Nelson, Pretty Boy Floyd. And these were coming on the back of people like Jesse James, of course. And I have to say, you have to think, guys, it's the same thing, really. It's the same mindset. It's the same way of being. It's just these guys was really elevated in the media at that time because everyone was against the government during the Prohibition years. And it was really starving. It was the Great Depression. So these guys were elevated as champions, like Robin Hood figures.
Open it up.
Empty it! Move! Move! Shut up!
It's one of these.
Of course, with John Dillinger as well, you know, as I said before, there was no doubt he was a very professional, very slick, typical, really heavy, top-level armed robber. He had all the traits of that, all the ways of that, you know, big ego. But, you know, he needed that to carry that. He needed so much fun, you know, to pull off the jobs that he had to, right? You know, and this went on and on and on. You know, he's a very serious guy, right? You know, he'd shoot his way out. He'd kill, he'd maim, he'd do whatever he had to do to get in, to have them bits of work, but then to get away as well, of course.
I said move it out of there. What for?
There are a certain level of armed robbers. They're willing to shoot at police, shoot it out with police, but they're already even expecting to have a shootout and their way out to get out of there. It's a big way of being and it's a big mindset and it's a very small group. And these guys, like they was, these old time really iconic gangsters, they fit this bill because birds of a feather, you know, they flock together. And the word suits, it really does, outlaw. Because that's how they would be, that's how they would feel, that's how they would live their life. Always moving, never staying in one place at the same time and being bond together in these days. You know, and this is the thing that I'm saying about having these side parts of the car, like to jump on, you know, he was known as well for always taking a hostage because, of course, they're not going to fire at them when they've got the hostage on there as well.
You too. Come here.
And I have to say about John Dillinger and other people who live a life like this, of course, is what they do. And, you know, he definitely played to the crowd. These guys did, all of them back in the day. They played to the media. They relished in their role as public enemy #1. But you have to think there's another side to these guys. It's a normal side. It's a side that wants to be normal, but of course can't be normal because of the life that they've chosen and the secrecy they have to have and how they have to live their lives. But they are searching for something. And in many ways, they're searching for normality. You know, they're searching for that girlfriend. They're searching for a safe, secure life and peace in some way, like we all are. Just like John Dillinger was here. But of course, the life that he chose was never going to give him that.
You ain't going nowhere. You hear me? I'm gonna die an old man in your arms. We're too good for him. They ain't tough enough, smart enough, or fast enough.
There's a really important point here in translating the mindset and the lifestyle of how a top-level armed robber really lives and really thinks. And it is that kind of thing where you don't see past tomorrow. Of course, you never think you're going to get caught, you're going to get killed. It's going to go against you. And you do. There's a big part of ego here, especially when you're good at what you do and you keep getting away with it, that thinks you're better, you're faster, you're quicker, you're cleverer, of course. The odds will never go against you. But of course, this is an illusion, because when you take a gun and you choose this life, the odds are always going to be against you. We have to be lucky all the time if you live a life like this. But the police, everyone else, they only need to be lucky once. make a lot about the love story arc in this with John Dillinger. Did he have a love story? I'm sure he did in some kind of way. A lot of people do. Like I said, they're yearning really behind the madness, the chaos, for some kind of normality, some kind of freedom. They're searching for something. In my experience, guys like this, they're really loose cannons, you know, and of course the drive and the buzz, the power, the money, the greed, and of course the evading capture to keep going is the predominant factor. But it just goes to show, to pick a life like this, you will sacrifice everything, including that love, that freedom, and that peace, and that security that we all yearn for so much.
I'll plug him right here.
And you have to remember, when I watch these films and just bits of work and escapes and things like that, I'm reminded still about the artistry of it. And I have to say that. There's a real artistry that comes in here when you become advanced at doing this. And it is. It's like a vocation and it's like a craft. A lot of it is knowing how people are going to react and controlling the situation to get to your goal. But believe you me, there is craft and artistry in this work.
We're gonna take that one. Go on.
That's Sheriff Lillian Holly's personal car.
Good.
And there was no question with John Dillinger as a stick-up guy, as an escapologist. He had real technique, he had real cleverness and real craft in all of this stuff that he'd done. Or he would never have been able to get through a lot of the real serious jams that he was in. This is his girl being taken in here, and of course this was to be his undoing later on. And there's a really important story point here that translates in the real life of armed robbers or organised crime, is that you're always vulnerable to the people around you. And the police, your enemies, whoever, they'll always come and they'll leverage these people first to get you. So really, you're blind. I used to always say, it's not the people that I see coming that I'm worried about. It's those that I don't see. They're the ones that get you. But in this life, really, it can come at any time, anywhere, and in any shape, as people try and leverage to get close to you. Of course, at this point now, there's only a few ways that this is going to go, because they will apply pressure. And you have to think, the people in your life around you, they're not the same as you. They're not going to be hardened like these guys. So in many ways, you can't really blame them for breaking. They don't really have a choice, right? So here's another thing that shows you, if you pick this life, then really you can't have anyone else who would be close to you in it. This is the chink in his armor, because they need to get to him. So all they do is they get a witness. We all know what happened at the end. You know, he goes to the picture house, and of course they shoot him like a dog. They tell the woman, they leverage the woman, they say to make sure she's wearing a red coat so they can see the target. And they shoot him down like a dog. I mean, there's a lot of cowardness in this, but of course they're not going to worry about that, because they're going to measure it by his dangerousness. This is all too much a typical story. But what a story. In my view, really, John Dillinger definitely goes down as one of the all-time public enemy #1 armed robbers of the day. A very typical armed robber, it has to be said. And there have been many through the ages. How do I rate Public Enemies? As a film, its authenticity to the story of John Dillinger and its cinematography, I'd give it a good 8.5. I mean, it's a big budget movie, of course, big stars in there, well done, cinematography, acting, the whole bit, it's all in there. It's masterful. I think Johnny Depp as an actor, he's a wonderful actor. I think he'd done as good a job as he could have done with John Dillinger. John Dillinger was a very raw character, but there have been many. If we're looking for the archetypical armed robber, then John Dillinger would be very close, I would say, to what we would expect. I really wish all you guys so much peace and blessings and prosperity over this holiday period. Me and all the team especially, when we're talking about prosperity, for instance, going into the new year, I'm always blown away, and I've known many guys throughout the years who's been really special. They've been super, super intelligent, but they've been claimed by a life of crime. And I'm struck by how really intelligent was that, because really, of course, it didn't work for them. So in this wonderful time of joy and going into a really positive new year. So if you're having some challenges or some conflicts about this, always pick the right thing into the new year, because that will be real intelligence and you're going to find your way, I promise you. Be headstrong, be single-minded, do the right thing, and you're going to end up somewhere wonderful. I wish a lot of joy, peace and blessings to you and your close ones this holiday. And of course, this has to be said, this is another really important point I want you to think about when we're talking about intelligence here across the board. But the federal government spent more money trying to capture John Dillinger than he actually took or robbed in his whole career. So think about that.